Welcome back to Final Expense Telesales. My name is Dana Neeson. Thank you so much for being here today. In rebuilding my company called Empower Life Group, I'm also bringing over some really great people and agents and leaders in the industry, and I'll be starting to interview them as they see fit. And today, I wanted to bring you a young lady, a grown adult woman who has been in the business now for several years. She'll actually tell us when she started. She has now made her way over to Empower Life Group as her sixth agency. We're going to talk about why we're number six and why we're going to be any different, right? We're going to ask some hard questions and we're going to have a good, tough conversation. And at the end of the day, if this sounds like something that you want to explore further, my contact information is in the description below. And without further ado, welcome Ashley Molinex.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
This interview has been a long time coming.
Yes.
We have been in communication and contact about possibly joining forces for several months. And you finally decided to make the switch about a month ago. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
I'd say started rolling about a month ago.
Hitting just, yeah.
Barely getting through the recontracting,
always a fun process.
recontracting process, which is, a nightmare for everybody.
Yes.
So let's start with a quick version of your story for those that don't know who you are. For everybody watching, Ashley has a YouTube channel by her name, Ashley Molinex. We'll put that in the description. And she's also a teacher. She loves to teach, just like I do. And so we kind of got connected in that way. But Ashley, I'll let you take over and tell us a little bit of your story.
Yeah. So first off, like I say on my YouTube channel, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I got into this industry trying to get out of some debt. When I came into the industry, I fell forward very quickly. Agency kind of hopped for a minute, but there was reasons behind all of the transitions. And I started to really master a skill set. And when I mastered it, I started sharing my story. And that's kind of how I'm here. And that's my channel. The breath behind the channel is just sharing my story and anything that I've learned, how I can impart wisdom on other agents. I do so to the best of my ability.
I think that we really should dissect a little bit further into your agency hopping story, because that is really important. There's so many agents that jump into an agency and for whatever reason, always keeping that door open for them to want to hop to somewhere else because the opportunity might be better or it seems to be better. So could you take us a little bit deeper into all the, from the first one that you got, why you chose that one, and what kind of led you to where you are today, each one?
Yeah, so first agency that I went in was a big 3-letter IMO that a lot of agents, go with. It was a big hype fest, Kool-Aid drinking type of situation. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was new into the industry. I saw a really cool YouTube video and I thought, well, that I need to follow that. They're doing big things over there. Joined the agency. They gave me a script. It said buy these leads. They were penny on the dollar type leads. And then essentially, by our CRM, they had everything that I needed to do. And I did all the things. And within 3 weeks, I spent like $2,800. I did not know what to do on the phones. Every time because I would go to all their trainings. When I would go to their trainings, it was like a hype fest. It wasn't anything specific target. It wasn't let's dissect the script, let's learn, let's listen to calls. It was how are you better? And a lot of, I guess you could say maybe Tony Robbins type stuff, nothing specific to Final Expense. And I wasn't making money and my husband wasn't happy. I came in to get out of debt and then I just drove us deeper in the hole very, very quickly. And so I started watching folks on YouTube, hearing stories, and I quickly realized that I was probably in one of those like MLM type of agencies. My upline, I leaned in on him. He had really never sold a policy before. He was in it to try to build this big agency and dream team of something that, and he didn't understand what he was doing. So I pivoted, and it was more of a logical based decision. It wasn't based off of feeling. It was based off of where I'm at now. I've had no traction or no success, and I'm so lost. I need somewhere where I can get, better guidance. And that and that led me to the next IMO. But the next IMO is also driven because they had free leads. And since I just spent $2,800 and I wanted to figure this thing out, my husband was like, well, maybe you should try to figure it out by not spending money.
And that's fair, right? I built
Yeah.
a whole agency off of a free lead model. There's definitely money to be made if you're in the right situation.
Yes, there is money to be made if you're in the right situation. But that free lead model was another MLM. So it was, I didn't realize it until I was in it. I went through all of their training. They had better training, right? But it was like a whole month had gone by and I was doing everything they were telling me to do and I never got leads. And so when I finally was being squeaky enough, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And I was like, where are my leads? How I do this? And like, oh, we don't actually give you leads until you sell a policy. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to sell a policy if I don't have any leads? And they're like, oh, just, reach out to your friends or family. And
Oh.
so I had to sell a friend or a family member first. So then I was like calling my in-laws. My husband had some veteran friends, and it was whoever was willing to sit down and let me regurgitate this script right in front of them, right, in a Zoom. And I managed to sell a friend. And so then I had leads, but it still was, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was lost. I was with that IMO for about 4 months. And in 4 months' time, I did about 6 policies, and 4 out of the 6 were friends or family. And so I wasn't gaining traction. I was very frustrated. I managed to get through the script and get to the end. And it was just, I want to think about it. I want to think about it. And that was every single presentation. I want to think about it. And I still at this point didn't really realize that I was in sales per se, that there was like a skill set you needed to have in order to make someone or help someone make a buying decision. And my upline was of no use again. I'd ask, well, can I hear you on a call? Can I, because people on YouTube are saying, if you want to learn, you should be able to listen to calls. You should be able to get that kind of mentorship. And it just was not available to me. And so I sought the mentorship, which is why I left that agency to go to the next one.
Okay, so we're on number 3.
On number 3, this time I was geared towards training. Like I needed someone to show me how to get someone to make a buying decision.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I got. And I was very, very thankful for that. That was an LOA model though. So when I was in it with the pay structure and in order for the time it took me to produce, right, at a high capacity for the money to make sense, I was working very, very, very long hours. Even when I'd gotten to the point where I was easily doing 10 apps a week consecutively, I didn't have the time freedom that I needed for my family, and my husband wasn't happy with it. And again, it was something where I was a stay-at-home mom. This was additional for me to help my family get ahead, financially speaking. And so when it cut into the personal time, when the family dynamic's not, at peace and it's at war with itself, then, got to pivot. And so I thought, well, now that I have a skill set and I know what I can do, I need to figure out how to be a broker.
Okay. All right. So then we go to number 4.
Yes, number 4, pivoting to try to be a broker. I thought at this point, the simplistic thing for me to do, because I did not know how to get leads or generate leads, I was so confident in my skill set. I thought, well, just give me the inbound. Like if someone can just like give me a transfer, I will close up shop all day long. Like I was super confident. And that led me to another big, they're not captive because you can write them and write other carriers, but it is like a solo agency, like a standalone agency. They have their own product, right? They have their own tiers and stuff. They have their own leads. And it was the opportunity to get those inbound leads coming to me. I quickly learned that the inbound leads are no different than the leads that I had prior to. They were just really, really expensive. And so now I found myself stepping into a brokering world and not knowing how to run a business. And I finally sat down and I did the math, and the math on those $55, $65 a lead, transfers, with the amount of activity I could do, it wasn't making sense with my comp structure either. Like there was no way I could make that model work. And so that's when someone had recommended my 5th IMO, and I went to that IMO to figure out, okay, how do I do this as a broker in capacity? When I left the LOA and I went to the inbound lead agency, I was there 2 months. It wasn't long. I knew what I was looking for. And when I found out that inbound lead wasn't the fix for me, I needed to kind of figure out how to get a good solid flow of leads.
Right.
And get the systems in place. That's why I went to the 5th agency, because they had those things for me. They had the CRM, they had the built-in automations, they had the good place for me to get a solid lead flow at. Like, they had the business model. Like, I knew how to sell. I just needed someone now to help me be a broker. And that's where I was number 5.
Okay. And in full transparency, you had no intention of ever leaving number 5.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Yeah,
not
you were
at
actually
all. I
happy,
was super happy with number 5.
producing consistently.
Yes.
You
Yes.
even started the Perfect Agent, right? You started a company
Yes.
called the Perfect Agent, where
Mhm.
now you have I don't want to call it that. You have an offer
Yes.
where you will help agents how to sell and teach them how to get leads, teach them how to use systems so that
Everything I
they,
needed to learn, I share and I teach, because it's not out there. Like, I had to figure it all out. And
right.
every transition I made, I was seeking wisdom. And, I wanted to go somewhere where I would learn and grow. It wasn't because I was salty, or I was like, oh, the grass is greener over here and people are over here making all of this money, I'm going to go over there.
Mhm.
I wasn't hopping around like I see agents hop around.
Yeah.
But their reason behind the transition is not, oh, there's something there that I absolutely need to grow from, and I need that challenge, and this is my next step to become better. It's, everything here's not working. I'm gonna, ride the complaint train. I'm gonna talk to other agents, and we're gonna like live in the saltiness of everything. And, oh, I heard over here, this is a better place. It wasn't, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that even the fact that you have stuck it out with so many places and so many agencies is probably a lot more than a lot of agents do. They might only try 1 or 2, say, this is not for me, and then just exit the business entirely. So
Yeah.
I think that's also really common. Okay, so now let's fast forward to why number 6. So why Empower Life? Why did you decide to partner with me and my IMO now, or our IMO now, Lasting Mark? And why do you think, do you think that this is it for you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like and think this is it, right? I've definitely learned you can't predict the future, but I definitely have been through the gauntlet, and I know what I need to win and succeed. So I definitely have no intention of moving anytime soon. Really, for me, like I had said, right? My last IMO that I just came from, I was very content there. I had everything that I need. And when I was in my Ashley bubble world, I was quite content. I was doing everything that I needed to do. But when I had transitioned and pivoted and created the Perfect Agent and realized that there was such a need from agents to have a source, like a guiding source, because agents are hungry, right? They want to know how to sell final expense and do it from home, right? So like when I speak to agents on my channel, I get their feedback, and they're missing what I was missing. And so through creating the Perfect Agent, I realized the model of the Perfect Agent and helping agents in that capacity, my time freedom is gone. It's just the model of what it is to create a coaching program and support and like everything that you have to, it's a whole nother business model that you're building from the ground up. And it just wasn't making sense for me. But I knew that my next step in final expense was to pour into other agents. And that was really the driving force behind the transition, because where I was at, it wasn't agency driven. It wasn't trying to build up other agents in the way they should go. It was very almost a little isolating. Like you're in your brokering world and you're rowing the boat by yourself. And if for whatever reason you need back end office support or whatever, raise your hand, you'll get the help that you need. But the community, like the sense of community, especially like what you are all about. I love community. Lasting Mark has a wonderful community.
Yeah.
That was missing. And there's all these components that I know agents need. And that if I were to find a way to help agents, I couldn't stay where I was at. I needed to pivot. I needed someone who has, I love following the person with the arrows in their back. That is like my number one mantra. And Dana, you have the arrows in your back. And so it's like, if I want to be where you're at, you've helped tons of agents, then I need to follow your lead and learn from you. And I'm really just tap into the systems. And so it was a place where I could call home, where I had everything that I needed to thrive.
I want to speak to something in regards to your journey in being a successful agent, creating the perfect agent. And you discovered through that journey that people didn't want to just learn from you, they wanted to be on your team.
Yeah.
And the question, or kind of what I want you to speak to is something that I think also a lot of agents have fear over, because prior to us getting together, and you have yet to even experience it because we're still at the very beginning stages of our growth. But one of the things that you were very fearful of, and correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, but you were very afraid of bringing on agents just to take on their eventual debt. Like that was going to happen. You were going to take on agents. They were going to screw me. I was going to, be responsible
you
for
were
all their
100%
debt.
right on that comment. Yes, yes, and
And,
yes.
and that was sort of preventing you from putting in that time to want to
Yeah.
build a team and build an agency. Like, I just want to teach you, but I really don't want to be responsible for you.
Yeah, no, you're right in that assessment, 1,000%, because it's a real thing. I tried for a minute, again, being on my own to build a team, and that was because of YouTube. I had so many emails and comments from agents reaching out like, hey, can you coach me? And they're pouring their heart out, like they're giving me like these life situations that they're stuck in, and where life insurance has really put them between a rock and a hard place. And I couldn't help but to be like, oh my gosh, like all these people need help. I need to try to build a team. And when I built a team, I wasn't, again, right? Like what drove me to you and Lasting Mark is I'm going to have the support and the training, because when you're building something out, you need to know how to do it properly. And I quickly took on 5 agents without knowing how to protect my time, how to give them the time that they needed, and structure it out in such a way. I quickly, within 3 weeks, realized that my time freedom was gone again. My production had slowed down. I didn't know how to recuperate that. And then these agents, they told me the sun, moon, and stars, and I really genuinely thought that they were in it to win it. And then there was like one road bump, and I tried to encourage them through it, and they said no, and then they walk away, and then they're gone. And then 2 weeks later, I'm getting hit with like $950 chargeback from a carrier, and they're out already. And so it was just, it was very intimidating, and something that I was kind of a little fearful of trying to build an agency out to help agents, because I don't want to fumble either personally,
Sure.
right? Like it has to be, it's kind of like the way I view final expense. Like when I sell a product, it has to be first good for the client, and then it has to be good for me, and then it also has to be proper for the carrier. So it's like the same thing, right? When I help an agent, it has to be good for the agent, but it also has to be good for me, right? And it has to be good for the agency.
Yes.
So that balance is what I'm learning.
Right. No, but these are really important lessons, because too many people get in the industry and before they even understand how to consistently sell and how to manage chargebacks and how to run their own business, they're just told the only way to run a business is to recruit. And they recruit with no structure and no systems, and they're still selling, right? Not that so I want to talk about that for a minute, the stigma of selling versus not selling as an upline. But because they're stuck still selling, and I call it stuck for a reason, but because they have not done the work ahead of time to bring agents on into a system that set agents up for success. And so when you're selling, but there's no system, then what happens when they need help? Well, you're busy selling. So you find yourself then in Zoom rooms, unmuting yourself so agents can listen to you sell. And that's how you're going to coach them. But then now your agents aren't selling because they're listening to you
Listening.
during the
Yeah.
times they should be dialing. And you're just in this constant cycle of reacting to your day instead of taking control of it from the very beginning. And that's what I'm so passionate about, not just teaching agents how to sell, but also helping leaders learn how to actually lead properly to protect your time so that
Yes.
if you want to sell still, you will have the ability to do that because we're teaching you how to control your day, not to react to your day, and also setting agents up for success. So that way your risk is lower. Now there's no risk completely. I told you, and I was very transparent with you
Yes.
that
Yes.
even though I made over $500,000 last year, I had over 140,000 of chargeback debt. It's just part of the game.
Yes.
But when you have the systems in place that are designed for agents to be successful, you minimize that risk and you still win at the end. And
Yeah.
too many IMOs are not teaching leaders how to lead. They're just giving, I call them comp whores. They're just giving away comp, giving away some script that they didn't even write themselves, by the way, and saying, here's a CRM to buy. It'll help you call your leads, which is now the newest generation of what IMOs are giving. That was not done a year ago, by the way.
Yeah.
The whole systems thing is new, not for me, but for a lot of IMOs. And okay, now you have a system. The system is gonna help the agents be successful. And that's just
Right.
one tiny piece.
Mhm.
You know, the CRM is just one tiny piece. And so one of the things I am so excited about with Empower Life is that Ashley is now going to be in a position where when she's ready, she's almost there, if not there,
Yeah.
almost there, because right now, to be transparent to everybody watching, Empower Life is almost done building our systems, our modules. Ashley's building her system, her modules. We are not a big recruiting machine until we're ready to take on people, because then it shouldn't matter if we have 50 people or one person, it should be the same work,
Mhm.
right? And that's what I'm really excited with you is to help you put things on autopilot so you actually have more time, not less.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm excited for that too, because I know there's a right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things. And just like, you know, I entered into life insurance not knowing what I didn't know, but then I learned it along the way. And then once it all clicked and I figured out just how to be an independent agent, the systems and the habits and the daily tasks that needed to be done, I honed in and it was just wash, rinse, and repeat. And so like I know by following you and working all these kinks out that eventually it'll be a wash, rinse, and repeat. And so that
Yes.
all these agents, all these stories of people that I hear that really, really want help, there will be no cap. You know, we'll be able to help everyone who needs help, who is seeking that knowledge and wisdom, who also wants a place to grow. Because that's also what's also awesome about the agency that we're a part of. There's really no limit in any avenue.
No, there's no limit. We can all be exactly the same.
Yep.
Everybody has the same opportunity to grow as big as you want, but we're taking it one step at a time,
Yes.
right? I personally have what we're calling goals versus vision, you know, a 5-year vision. What does your 2025, if you were to look ahead, what do you think that's going to look like for you the rest of this year? What do you
So for
hope it looks like?
what I hope it looks like, well, I definitely hope that I can open the door and have the agency being built up. Ideally, I would like to be able to be in a place where I've mastered my time blocking. And I am producing. I do see myself through 2025 still producing personally. That's one thing I learned with just kind of stopping and halting and building out Perfect Agent. I really ought to have just continued to produce. I think that's really important, especially in the infancy stage as I'm learning to be a leader. I really think it's important that I continue to produce alongside that journey. And so I think still producing through 2025, but definitely having a team. What that number looks like, it kind of feels like 25 agents, but I really don't know. It's one of those things, I don't know what I don't know, but I definitely know that I will be helping agents. We will be in a dial room together, and I will be the light to help guide them, the person with the arrow in their backs to teach them everything they need to know to be an agent, like a thriving agent who's actually running a business model for themselves. Like I go into detail, like track your banking account. We need to make sure that you're tracking your numbers. You need to know what's going in, what's going out. You need to set your goals. You need to know those targets. Like I want to be able to just give my agents everything that they need. And then once I know that I can do that and replicate, then we'll turn the faucet on a little bit. But for 2025, that's kind of what I see.
Now, what are your thoughts on the fact that you don't have to actually do it all on your own? Now, I know that one of the things that I'll be pouring into you is taking a look at your onboarding modules, your training
Yes.
modules, making sure that those are, if I can offer you any feedback on that possibly to help make those stronger, but really more towards the fact that, and even I take advantage of what I'm about to share with you, which is we have an IMO that is very involved in helping all of the agents universally. And you have an
Yes.
agency owner that is also very involved in helping agents universally. What do I mean by that? Meaning every Monday, right? Lasting Mark hosts a Monday launch call talking about numbers and best practices. Every Tuesday, I personally am going to be offering sales training for everybody under Empower Life. So you would have the option to have your agents attend my training because the way that we teach and the way that we coach is very similar,
Right.
right? And then maybe you have one day per week that you offer training for agents, or you do a nighttime thing, like whatever that looks like. But then, Thursdays, Lasting Mark has the Life Insurance Academy training where all the agents
I
can
know.
attend.
And these are things, yes. And so these are things that I thought about, and I thought, okay, well, because of the systems in place and because of the support I have, again, I don't know what I don't know. I'm probably at a capacity where I could turn on the flow and take in a lot more because really, again, I am able to continue to function as an independent agent working part-time. Like I know with my systems in place, I really only need to be a personal producer from the hours of 9 a.m. to maybe 1 o'clock.
Mhm.
And now, like I told you, we shifted, right? So we've made a move. You can tell I'm in a different office for those who follow me on my channel. We've switched gears in schools. And so I actually have extended hours now that I didn't have before,
Right.
my own personal life. So there's another window where I technically could do an hour-long training in the middle of the day for my team. But then Lasting Mark has tons of training and support too. And I've been to their training calls. What I really also like, Dana, that I think is worth highlighting is how I speak and how I manage my clients, and my processes really do mirror that of what you do. And then also what you do mirrors a lot of what Lasting Mark does. And I think we all kind of speak the same language and we handle things in a very uniformed way. So when I go to your trainings or when I go to Lasting Mark's trainings, it really does align up with my training. So it really does make sense just to kind of use that and lean on it. So, maybe the 25 was an undercut to myself, but again, I don't know what I don't know. I'm going to help people. We will help people.
Absolutely. Now, the million-dollar question, because I know that this is going to be asked in the comments if we don't talk about it. But definitely the forefront to what makes an agent get motivated and excited about showing up to work every day is leads, and well, not as so much systems, where that's like something that's a non-negotiable. You come to this team, you have to use a system.
Yes.
But leads, right? Let's talk about leads. I've
Ugh.
been very public on my channel that I'm really currently promoting two lead avenues. One of them, Scale My Social, which I know that is you're a huge fan of, and that's the only thing that you do. So I'll have you speak to that. The other one is Kaboom. We're seeing huge engagement contact rates from that as well. But I think that there are a couple other IMOs that have started popping up where that's all they lean on. It's like, come get the leads. We have the best leads. You can't, fail without the leads. And I do want you
Yes.
to speak about the leads because the leads are important.
Leads are
However,
lifeline, lifeblood.
it is the lifeblood of your business. But if that's where your business begins and also ends, I want you to think about this for people that are still with us in this video. If
Mhm.
you are at a place where your attraction begins with leads and it also ends with leads, where are you growing? Where are
Mhm.
you growing? Who is teaching you how to bring on agents and still succeed and still help you understand how to build that type of business? Just want you
Right.
to think about that for a second. Okay, so back to leads, because I think we have great leads. So what has
Oh,
what has your success been with Scale My Social?
yeah. I know we have great leads. That's the only way I can like thrive and survive. I've tried so many leads. So I did the penny on the dollar leads. I did the free leads. I did the LOA leads, which were Facebook leads at the time. And then I did the live inbound transfer leads. And then also there was a stint in there where I was trying to figure out how to become my own marketer. And I paid thousands of dollars to be taught how to be a marketer. Don't advise you take on two roles at once. Just stick to production and get the lead source out by, whatever, outside source.
Mhm.
But so about this time, actually, what were March, maybe April, I had bumped into Oscar with Scale My Social. And this was right about that time where I was doing the live inbound transfers. And then I was also trying to figure out how to be a marketing expert and just do it myself, create my own account and do all of the things. But once I gave that over to someone who knew what they were doing, right? They had the messaging, they
Yeah.
knew the target audience, they would keep me compliant with, oh, yeah, I was not at risk for, doing something stupid on the internet and getting fined for it. Um, all I had to do is worry about the money making activities, showing up and doing the daily task, which that's what I knew how to do. And once I was clear of the stress of leads, like when you are worried about your lead source as an independent agent, it will feed into every presentation you have. You will
Mhm.
lead from scarcity, like I need this. You are like money breath hungry. We need to close this deal. You're going to start pushing bad business, all because you are so hyper focused and worried about another aspect of your business. And that's not healthy. That's not a good place to be in. So once I could step back from that and I could trust my lead source, I was just focusing on what I knew how to do best. And I've been using Scale My Social for almost a full year now, and it's foolproof. I mean, it's so consistent. I don't question it, and it's a very, very nice place to be.
And
I
so I know that you're in a transition of moving, not just agencies, but you also moved homes. And so in the recontracting process, you had to take a little sabbatical. But
Yes.
when you were humming and you were up and running, how many leads were you getting per week? How much were
Sure.
you spending per week? And then how
Mhm.
much production were you writing per month? And if you have it, what was your net and your net revenue?
Yeah, so I always spend on average. There was one stint when open enrollment season came up that I had to pivot just for like 2 weeks because the market was flooded with ads for seniors. But I'm consecutively at a $700 a week ad spend.
Okay.
With that, I get anywhere from like 110 to 120 leads a week. I typically can maintain like a 5% close percent on that. And that will land me anywhere from on average 22,000 to 28 in AP a month.
And
And
that
covered
is
all the
that
fees.
just what you write, or did all those people actually make their first payments and you were
Actually
advanced
make their first payment. Yep. And
in
went across.
advanced? Okay,
Yep.
so were you maybe possibly even submitting like 35,000 or 30,000?
Yeah, I was submitting in the low 30s, but like actual net take home on the books, anywhere from the 22 to the 20, I would always fall. I would say call it average 25.
Okay. And how many states do you have?
Um, I've been rocking about 22. I just added, so it's really funny. I completely omitted the state of Texas. So for a year, I haven't been advertising in like one of the biggest states. So I
Wow.
recently, yeah, I know, didn't even catch it. We didn't even catch it, but here we are a year later. We got Texas in there. So I'll be helping out my locals. So now I think I'm at 24, and there's some states because of time, my time constraints, that I just don't do. So like I have New Mexico, Arizona, California. I just don't write business over there.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the mistakes that I think a lot of agents make is taking advice from people giving bad advice. Because again, this is kind of like what you fell into. You don't know what you don't know. And both, I think it's a mistake for agents to learn how to do their own marketing and control that side of the business themselves, because the more you can delegate to somebody else to do, this is part of being also about being a smart business owner. If someone's telling you and trying to get you to pay them to teach you how to do something that you should be paying someone else to do, I think that's a huge red flag. Like, you need to push as much off of your plate as possible. But the other red flag is, I don't think enough people are saying you probably shouldn't do Facebook lead gen on your own if you have less than 5 states, because you're just going to be paying the same amount of money for leads that you could buy from verified third-party vendors that are spending millions of dollars to generate higher intent leads that are in front of the audience you need to be in front of. And I think that's another contributing factor why I think agents might not see success, is because they're not being told that really you got to have like at least 15 states, 10 to 15 states for that to even make sense. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think first and foremost, I don't think that anyone should try to create your own Meta account and follow like these YouTube videos and like create a still form or whatever and make your own copy and try to be compliant and have your terms and conditions. I don't advise any agent do that at all, ever. If you hire someone to source and do that stuff for you, then they should tell you right out the gate that, hey, your ad cost is going to be too high because you're licensed in less than 10 states. It doesn't make sense, right? To push a Meta account if you can't advertise to more of a mass of people. And I think that's where supplementing something like Kaboom would probably be a better fit, which I think it's good like to have that option, to have a solid like other lead source vendor to lean in on if you can't afford. But personal bias, I think it's worth the investment to add the states and run your getting leads at cost has completely changed the game. Like if I were to, I'd have to go back and actually sit down and do the math. If the leads that I have coming in, if I paid, gosh, $10, $15 at 20 a lead for them, does my math out very nicely now for me working part-time? Like I've never actually done that math, but my leads on average are like $650 a lead. And it has been like that for a year. So leads at cost are everything. And it's margin in business.
And you have to have volume in telesales, by the way. You can't just get 20, 25 leads a week and think that you're going to sell a deal a day, which is, I think, the goal for a lot of new agents. What else was I going to ask you about the leads? So we got the leads, we got the systems, right? We have a great AI bot that can have conversations and book appointments. We teach you how to use it. It's actually not that hard. You have the support. We meet on, I chose Meets instead of Zoom, right? So we go to Meets every day, we meet there and everybody's on mute, right? What did I tell you? I said, nobody is unmuting and letting people listen to their sales calls. What were your thoughts on that when I first told you that, like, I hate that?
Yeah. So honestly, this is like the first place where I've been where that's a thing, right? I've always been in Zoom rooms where it's open mic. Anyone can like whisper, ask questions. I have seen that be a very bad thing though, like a very, very bad thing. People like to chat, they get distracted, they talk about drama, they have a bad call and now they want to air, wasting time, right? Like you think it's something that's beneficial in the moment, but it's really not helping anyone. So I definitely, being in the Zoom room, it's nice to look over and see people. You can still chat, like we chat in Slack. Doesn't mean just because you're not open mic in a dial room, that doesn't mean you have any lack of support. You do have the support, right? You have the Slack, you have the chat comms to communicate.
Well, you also have, you actually have specific training times, right?
Yes.
These are the times, X days a week, that we attend trainings. We're building a training library right now. So if you hop in and 6 months from now, you'll have a library of previous trainings that you can watch and learn from.
And
But
calls, edited calls, so you can actually hear
calls,
what a sales call sounds like. You don't have to hear it in real time, right?
yes, call reviews, actual sales calls, like
Mhm.
your training time needs to either be before your workday, or there's a dedicated time, maybe in the middle of your workday or at the end of your workday. But that's how you start learning how to time block and manage your time when you're not using the time that you should be dialing and making contacts and starting to have presentations, sitting back and just listening to somebody else sell. I think that's the most ass backward way that, and
Yes.
just can't, I couldn't even believe that's how people do it. Like I was floored. So
No, like it's everywhere. I am telling you now, it's open mic on all fronts. And I've met a lot of interesting characters in all these various Zoom rooms that I've been a part of.
that is not here. If that's what you want, Empower Life Group is not a good fit
Not
for you.
Yeah.
We're very structured, and I take this, I take it so serious that what typically happens is I end up taking somebody's success more serious than they take it themselves.
Mhm.
Which I think will probably kind of wrap up around here. I think that's kind of why, and I would love to hear your opinion of it from an outside looking in from me. We are attracting a ton of Ashley's, what I would consider a
Mhm.
ton of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 solid producers that would have never left where they're at
Mhm.
very established IMOs, of course, which we won't name. And it has nothing to do with their contract. It has nothing to do with their system. It has nothing to do with their leads. It is because they are on an island. Their leadership is not really involved in their growth,
Mhm.
and their focus is somewhere else. And people to their core want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They
1,000.
want to lean in and know that there is a path maybe beyond where they're at as a producer. So, and I've been sharing that with you, and I'm fascinated by it, right? Because
Yeah.
I haven't contracted one brand new agent yet. This has all been, we are just like a solid
Season.
group.
Yeah.
Once we get up and running, like really get up and running, like this is going to be crazy. But from the outside looking in, because you've now experienced it, but you're also seeing the type of people we're attracting. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
I think it's oh, what is it? There's a word for it and I can't think of it to the top of my mind, but you attract like-minded individuals, right? And I also think that for you, Dana, because of just who you are, and I knew who you were. I've known who you were since my entire stint, right? In Final Expense. Through all of my IMOs, I've known who Dana Nisa is. I've watched your content, I've learned from it. But when you have all of these agents out there in the FEX world and they're producing, we all know as producers, like we surround ourselves with like-minded people. We know that in order to grow and be better, we have to surround ourselves with people who are also on the same page, who don't clown around, who are in this because they know this is a business opportunity. But to surround yourself with a community like that, you go in knowing confidently, like this is only going to add to, right? This is only going to help me. And I think that's a big pull why you are getting all of like the people who are producing. It's because we know what's the saying, you never rise to your standard, you fall to those around you. So pick your circle closely, right? And
Yes.
so I think it's about picking your circle and being close to people who are like-minded, who are also doing and being better than they were yesterday.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And believe it or not, we're only a month old. Like we're literally a month. We just got through February. I
Yes.
announced that I was going with Lasting Mark on Monday, January 27th. That was the launch party.
Yeah.
I started having interviews that last week of January, and like literally yesterday was March 1st. We have been a agency for 1 month,
Mhm.
and it feels like it feels like we've done like 6 months worth of work
Yeah.
in
Because
this
there's a
month.
lot. It's just there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But I am so excited, the direction that we're going. I'm so excited with the people that we're with. I've often described our current team. We're a very mature team. That's like the best way that I can describe it, because as you said before, we're attracting mature people in this business that
Mhm.
just think different. And
Yeah.
even though we all want to, we all have desires, income desires, right? We all have money-making goals, but
Right.
at the core, we all just want to do the right thing and be
Mhm.
around the right people and have a culture and a community that speaks to us as humans. And I
Yeah.
think that there's, what we don't attract are people that are in it for the cars and first class
Yeah.
and the bags and
Yes.
the this
That's
and the
because we
thing.
don't show a money gun. We're not like flaring
Yeah,
out.
like
They're
we're
not.
all like we're going to get to that point and you won't even know that we're there, because I'm still going to go buy, like I bought this sweater at Target. I'm still going to go to Target, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm doing this because I have a family and right, and I'm married and I want to be able to leave a legacy for my kids and my kids' kids, because that's what it's really about. It's not
Yep.
about it's not about all the things that I think are ridiculous at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Agreed. Agreed.
So anyway, with that said, Ashley, if somebody wants to work under your team, what would you suggest? What would be the best way for them to reach you?
Yes, for now, email me at ashmolinex@gmail.com. I will be having a link though coming out soon. And at any point in time, when that link is ready, you'll find it on any description underneath any of the videos on my channel. But for now, just email me.
Perfect. And if you want to work with Ashley or if you want to work with Empower Life, you can also leave a comment on this video. We will get back to you, or all the contact information on how to book an interview is in the description below. My website, Empower Life Group, God, I feel like it's been forever, but it's like almost out, and there will be a link to book an interview directly on the website. And other than that, any lasting words?
No, just don't give up and surround yourself with like-minded people, because there's a career to be had in life insurance.
Not only is there a career to be had, I mean, I have never seen an opportunity in the 21 years that I've been in telesales of just the stupid money that you can make in this business, and how many other people you can teach to make stupid money too, and do it in a way that you get left with integrity, and
Yeah.
you're helping other people and you're also growing something so great as well. So
Yeah.
it definitely works. It
It
definitely, I
does.
would have not come back, by the way. I would have not come back to life insurance after I lost my team if I didn't think that there was something meaningful and powerful to be had here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for 2025.
It's gonna be a good year.
All right, Ashley, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.